The story opens on a bleak, mist-covered dawn. Victor Frankenstein, once a brilliant and reckless scientist, returns to Geneva, his homeland, after years of self-imposed exile. His hair is streaked with gray. His hands still tremble from memories he cannot erase. The wind howls against the carriage as he passes the gates of his once proud family estate, now decayed and half abandoned, a haunting mirror of his own soul. Victor is a man carrying ghosts. Every creak of the wooden floorboards reminds him of William, his murdered brother. Every flicker of candlelight conjures the face of his lost love Elizabeth, taken from him by the very being he brought to life. His creation, his creature, and has vanished into the frozen north, but the terror never left Victor's mind. He lives with the tormenting belief that his sin against nature can never be undone. Upon his return, the townspeople whisper. Some pity him. Others fear him. They remember the strange deaths, the sudden tragedies, and the rumors of dark experiments that once stained the Frankenstein name. But Victor ignores them. He is not here to reclaim his reputation. He is here to bury his past. He swears never to touch a scalpel, never to whisper a scientific formula again. His only desire is quiet redemption, to live in solitude, surrounded by the fading remnants of his family's history. He takes residence in a small, ivy-clad estate by the lake, far from the city but close enough to hear the bells of the cathedral. Each evening, he walks the misty shoreline, staring into the water as if it might forgive him. Yet the silence of Geneva offers no mercy. His guilt festers in the stillness. One evening, during a violent thunderstorm, fate intervenes. From the window of his study, Victor sees a carriage overturned on the muddy road near his gate. Without hesitation, he rushes into the storm, cloak whipping behind him, and finds a woman trapped beside the wreck. Her dress is soaked, her face pale, her voice trembling as she tries to calm her frightened horse. Victor helps her to safety, his hands instinctively gentle though they once created horror. When he brings her inside and the firelight illuminates her features, he is struck by her presence, a quiet beauty marked by sorrow, not vanity. Her name is Elena Rousseau, and as she speaks, her voice carries both strength and sadness. She thanks him, explaining that she is the wife of Count Armand Rousseau, a man of influence and wealth who manages estates in the nearby mountains. As they talk, Victor feels something stir within him, something he believed long dead. Elena's calm grace and compassion draw him in. She notices his haunted eyes and the tremor in his voice when he speaks of loss. Though their conversation is brief, there is a spark, fragile yet undeniable. When the storm passes, her carriage is repaired, and she departs with a faint smile that lingers in Victor's memory long after she is gone. That night, as thunder fades over the mountains, Victor stands by the fire and feels an emotion he has not felt in years. Hope mixed with danger. He knows nothing of her life, nothing of the man she calls husband. Yet he senses that this chance meeting has disturbed the careful order of his self-imposed isolation. For the first time since the tragedy that destroyed him, Victor Frankenstein feels the ache of life and love returning. But somewhere deep in the shadows of his mind, another presence stirs too. The creature, bound to his creator by fate, senses the awakening of Victor's heart, and from the darkness of memory, jealousy begins to take root once again. Days pass after Elena Rousseau's unexpected visit, yet Victor finds her face haunting every corner of his mind. Her voice echoes faintly in his memory, calm, graceful, threaded with quiet sorrow. In his solitude, he wonders why her eyes had looked so weary, why her smile seemed to hide pain. For a man who has spent years fleeing from humanity, Victor now feels the unbearable weight of yearning for human closeness once more. He tells himself it was only kindness, a simple act of aid during a storm, yet he knows the truth runs deeper. He feels the pull of something forbidden, something that trembles between sin and salvation. He had sworn to bury his heart with Elizabeth, his lost bride, but Elena's brief presence has stirred the ashes of emotion he thought long cold. Weeks later, fate weaves its threads again. One crisp autumn morning, as Victor walks the lakeshore lost in thought, he hears the soft sound of hooves. Turning, he finds Elena approaching on horseback, her pale cloak fluttering like a ghost's veil against the mist. She greets him warmly, apologizing for the intrusion. explaining that she was passing nearby and wished to thank him properly for his help. Victor insists there is no need, but Elena insists on staying for tea. Inside his dimly lit study, surrounded by the relics of his family, dusty portraits, old books, unlit lamps, they speak for hours. Their conversation drifts from literature to philosophy and then, unknowingly, to loneliness. She speaks carefully, always avoiding her husband's name, but Victor reads what her words conceal. A loveless life, gilded with wealth but starved of affection. He listens and something deep within him awakens. He begins to see Elena not merely as a woman, but as a mirror, a soul imprisoned by circumstance, much as he is trapped by his own guilt. When the clock strikes 6, she rises to leave, but pauses at the door. The golden light of dusk pours in, framing her like a figure from a painting. "You have kind eyes, Monsieur Frankenstein," she says softly. They belong to a man who has known great sorrow but who still seeks light. Victor cannot speak. For a moment her words pierce the walls he has built around his heart. He bows slightly and says only, "Sorrow is all that has ever kept me company." She smiles sadly and then departs. From that day on, Elena begins to visit more often. Sometimes she brings books from her husband's library. Other times she brings flowers, lilies, her favorite. The two share quiet afternoons reading poetry by the fire. Their bond grows, unspoken yet undeniable, each encounter thick with the ache of things left unsaid. For the first time in years, Victor feels life returning to his veins. He begins to sketch again. At first the landscape around the lake, then gradually her face. But every stroke of charcoal feels like confession. Every glance at her lips like temptation. He tells himself their friendship is innocent, yet he cannot ignore the way his heart beats faster when she enters the room. Elena, too, begins to sense the danger in their closeness. She knows her husband's temper. The Count's pride is as fierce as his jealousy. Yet in Victor's presence she feels something she has never known: peace. He does not demand or command. He listens. He sees her as she truly is, not a countess, not a wife, but a soul capable of feeling. One evening, as they stand by the window watching the rain fall over the lake, their hands brush for the first time. Neither pulls away. The silence between them grows heavy, trembling with the weight of everything that cannot be spoken. Victor's heart pounds. The forbidden spark has been lit. Outside, thunder murmurs in the distance, faint, yet familiar. As if the heavens themselves remember what happened the last time Victor Frankenstein defied the natural order of things. The days in Geneva begin to grow shorter, the air colder. The lake mirrors the gray sky, and the distant peaks of the Alps vanish into clouds heavy with snow. In the quiet of his home, Victor Frankenstein finds his solitude no longer comforting. It feels empty now without the warmth of Elena Rousseau's presence. She visits often under harmless pretexts, a delivery of flowers, a new book from her husband's library, or simply a ride by the lakeside. Yet each time she arrives, the air seems to change, charged with something that neither of them dares to name. Victor begins to paint again, something he had not done since his youth. His scientific instruments remain covered beneath dust and cloth, but his sketchbooks fill with her likeness, her face, her hands, the curve of her neck beneath her collar. He captures them all, trembling between reverence and desire. Each portrait becomes a prayer, a plea, a confession, but he hides them, ashamed of the truth they reveal. One afternoon, Elena comes without her maid. She brings a small basket of apples from her estate, smiling shyly. Victor offers her tea, and they sit near the fire as snow falls softly outside. The flames cast a golden glow across her face, and he notices for the first time a faint bruise near her wrist. When he asks, she hesitates, then withdraws her hand. "It is nothing," she whispers. "I fell." But Victor sees the truth in her eyes. The Count's temper has found its way to her. A wave of anger surges through him, a dangerous fire he thought had died long ago. For the first time in years, he wishes he could wield the power he once had, not to create life, but to protect it. She senses his turmoil and tries to calm him. "Please," she says, her voice trembling. "You must not look at me with such pity. It will destroy us both." "Not pity," Victor replies softly, his voice breaking. "Something far worse." The words hang in the air like a confession neither meant to speak. Elena rises quickly, her eyes bright with tears. "Do not say it," she whispers. "You must not, but it is too late." The unspoken has become real. In that flickering light, they both understand what binds them, a love that cannot exist yet refuses to die. Elena leaves that evening without finishing her tea. Victor watches from the window as her carriage disappears into the storm. He feels the ache of absence like a wound reopening. The taste of her presence lingers, sweet and unbearable. That night sleep evades him. He wanders the house, haunted by memories of Elizabeth's lifeless body, of the creature's voice calling him father. The lightning flashes beyond the lake, illuminating his face in pale blue light. He sees himself in the mirror, gaunt, hollow, half mad, and wonders if love is merely another form of his old obsession, a desire to possess what nature forbids. He takes one of her sketches and places it by the window. The candle flickers beside it, its flame bending in the wind. "Forgive me," he murmurs, "for wanting what I must not have." Outside, thunder rolls, soft, distant, yet familiar. Somewhere, deep in the mountains, something else hears it too. Far away, in a dark cavern beneath the ice, the creature stirs. His mind, bound to Victor's soul, senses the stirring of forbidden passion in his creator's heart. The connection between them, that strange, cursed bond of life and will, awakens. He remembers Victor's cruelty, his rejection, his loneliness. And now Victor dares to love again, to have what the creature was denied. As the storm thickens over Geneva, the creature begins his journey south. The shadows of desire have called not only to Victor's heart, but to his creation's wrath. Winter tightens its grip on Geneva. The lake freezes at the edges and the forests lie silent beneath a blanket of snow. The world seems to hold its breath and awaiting. Within Victor's home, however, the silence is anything but peaceful. His days are restless, his nights haunted. Elena still visits, but less often, fearful of being seen. Each meeting grows heavier with the burden of love unspoken, yet both know that to deny it now would be to deny the pulse of their own souls. Victor, for all his efforts to live in the light again, feels darkness stirring within him. He hears strange sounds at night, the groan of wood, the whisper of footsteps in the snow. At first he dismisses them as the tricks of an uneasy mind, but soon the signs multiply. One morning he finds footprints outside his door, too large, too deep, not belonging to any man. Another night the horses in his stable scream in terror. The servants whisper that a figure walks by the lake when the moon is full. Victor knows what it means. His past has returned. He tries to convince himself it cannot be. The creature was gone. Last seen wandering into the Arctic waste, condemned to solitude. Yet a part of him always knew their bond could not be severed. Creator and creation, linked by blood, by guilt, by pain. The moment Victor felt love again, the creature must have sensed it. One night the truth reveals itself. A blizzard sweeps through the valley, rattling windows and howling through chimneys. Victor sits before the fire, trying to read when the flames suddenly flicker out. A shadow passes the window, tall, distorted, inhuman. Then a low voice, rough and deep, echoes from the doorway. "Did you think you could hide from me, Father?" Victor freezes. Slowly he turns. There, in the doorway, stands the creature, towering, cloaked in darkness, his face scarred but unmistakably alive. Snow melts on his shoulders as he steps inside, eyes burning with rage and sorrow. "I left you peace," the creature growls. "I went into the cold to forget you. But you called me back." Victor can barely speak. "You should not exist," he whispers. "Nor should you," the creature answers. "And yet here we stand. Two abominations bound by the same sin." The creature circles the room, glancing at the sketches on Victor's desk. Elena's face, drawn again and again. His lips curl into a bitter smile. "So, you have made a new creation. A softer one. A woman of flesh and breath. Tell me, does she know what kind of god you are?" Victor's fury rises. "Do not speak of her." The creature slams his fist into the table, splintering the wood. "I will speak of her, because she has taken what was denied to me, love. I begged you for it once. I pleaded for companionship, for mercy. You refused. Now you dare to have what you would not give." Victor trembles, torn between rage and guilt. "Leave her out of this. Whatever quarrel you have is with me." The creature leans closer, his breath fogging in the cold air. "Then remember your promise. You swore you would make me a mate, one like me. You broke that vow, but now you have a new purpose. You will give me what you have found, or I will take it from you. And then, just as suddenly as he came, the creature is gone, vanishing into the storm, leaving footprints in the snow and terror in Victor's heart. For the first time in years, Victor Frankenstein feels true fear again, and not for himself, but for Elena, because the creature's jealousy is not just vengeance, it is obsession, and Victor knows that nothing he loves has ever survived his creation's wrath. The storm rages for 3 nights, and with it comes a silence so tense it feels alive. Victor Frankenstein barely sleeps. Every creak of the floorboards, every groan of the wind against the shutters sends his pulse racing. The creature's warning replays in his mind like a curse. You will give me what you have found, or I will take it from you. He tries to protect Elena by avoiding her altogether. When her letters arrive, he leaves them unopened. When her carriage passes his gate, he hides behind the curtains, watching her confused expression fade into the falling snow. He tells himself it's for her safety, that she must never know what monster he once unleashed. But love, once awakened, does not yield to reason. On the 4th night, a knock breaks through the storm. When Victor opens the door, Elena stands there, her cloak soaked, her eyes bright with tears and defiance. You will not hide from me, Victor, she says, stepping past him before he can speak. Tell me what you fear. Tell me what hunts you. He tries to deny it, but his resolve collapses beneath her gaze. She sees the exhaustion in his face, the trembling in his hands, and she knows the truth runs deeper than guilt or shame. Please, she whispers, if you ever trusted me, do not lie to me now. So Victor begins to speak. He tells her everything. The nights of feverish study, the obsession with death, the blasphemous spark that gave his creation life. He speaks of the murders, of Elizabeth's death, of his long pursuit across ice and mountains. His voice breaks as he admits his crime, that he, in arrogance, became both creator and destroyer, and that the being he brought into the world now walks in shadows, filled with rage and envy. When he finishes, the silence between them is deafening. The only sound is the crackle of the fire and the beating of their hearts. Elena's face is pale, her lips trembling, yet not from fear. Instead, she steps closer, her eyes filled with something unexpected. Compassion. You sought to conquer death, she says softly, but all you found was grief. And yet, you still have a heart capable of love. Victor turns away, unable to bear the kindness in her voice. You do not understand, he mutters. I have brought ruin to everyone who ever loved me. If he comes for you, she places her hand gently on his cheek, then let him come. I would rather stand beside you in danger than live safely in a life without truth. The gesture shatters him. For the first time, Victor allows himself to weep, quietly, like a man breaking after years of silence. He holds her hand as though it were his only tether to the world. That night she stays. They do not speak much, nor do they confess what burns between them. Instead, they sit by the fire, her hand resting in his, the warmth of her presence a fragile light in the vast darkness. Yet outside, something watches across the frozen lake. The creature stands half hidden among the trees. His yellow eyes burn through the snow, fixed upon the glow of Victor's window. He sees the silhouettes, 2 figures close together, his creator and the woman he cannot have. A sound escapes his throat, part snarl, part sob. His enormous hands clench until the skin cracks. By dawn he is gone, but his vengeance has already begun to take form. The snows begin to melt, and with the thaw comes danger. For months, Elena Rousseau has hidden her visits to Victor beneath the cloak of charity and social courtesy, bringing books, tending to his supposed illness, and telling her husband she visits a lonely widower out of pity. But in Geneva, secrets are fragile things. Count Armand Rousseau, her husband, is a man accustomed to control. Tall, severe, and proud, he governs his household with the same iron will he uses to rule his estate. Beneath the surface charm lies a cruel insecurity, the terror of being made a fool. So when whispers reach him that his wife has been seen entering the Frankenstein estate, a flicker of suspicion turns quickly to rage. At first, he confronts her gently. You have been charitable of late, he says one evening, his tone calm but his eyes sharp. Tell me, what great sorrow draws you so often to the company of that strange man? Elena meets his gaze without trembling. He is lonely, Armand. You once praised me for my kindness, and have you forgotten? The Count smiles, but there is no warmth in it. Kindness has its limits, especially when it is wasted on a man of ill repute. There are stories about him, my dear. Madness, scandal, death. I will not have your name tied to his. That night he sends men to follow her. Within days they return with their reports. She rides to Victor's home in secret, stays for hours, returns pale but radiant. The Count's jealousy festers like a wound. He drinks heavily, pacing his study long into the night, muttering that his wife has betrayed him, and then, one evening, as the moon rises over the lake, a knock sounds at the door. The butler opens it to find a stranger cloaked in darkness, his face half hidden. The man's voice is deep, cold, deliberate. I have information, he says, about your wife and the man she visits. The Count narrows his eyes. Who are you? Call me. A friend, the stranger replies. A friend wronged by the same man who wronged you. When the light touches his face, the Count steps back in horror, not because of recognition, but because of what he sees, a face not fully human, scarred, stitched, and yet alive. The creature stands before him, eyes burning with hatred. You hate Victor Frankenstein, the creature says slowly. As I do. He took something from me, and as he has from you. Help me destroy him, and I will see your honor restored. The Count, torn between disbelief and rage, listens as the creature tells him half-truths, that Victor seduced his wife, that he used unnatural powers to enthrall her, that he is not merely a man, but a blasphemer who has defied God. By the time the creature finishes, the Count's fury has turned into obsession. What would you have me do? He asks. The creature's lips twist into something like a smile. Nothing, yet. But when the moment comes, you will see justice done. From that night on, the Count changes. He grows colder, quieter. Elena notices his sudden watchfulness, the way his eyes linger on her when she enters a room, the way he follows her with his silence. She feels the trap closing, though she cannot yet see the net tightening around her. Meanwhile, Victor feels the pressure of unseen eyes. He senses the creature's presence in the woods, in the shadows of his dreams. His love for Elena has become both sanctuary and curse. Each moment with her is joy, each goodbye, dread. Two forces are now moving toward him. One of jealousy, wearing the face of a husband, and one of revenge, wearing the face of his own creation. And in the middle stands Elena, the woman whose love has awakened life and death alike. The night of reckoning arrives beneath a sky torn by thunder. The storm has returned to Geneva, fierce, unrelenting, as though the heavens themselves prepare to witness the end of Victor Frankenstein's cursed tale. Inside the small lakeside estate, Victor waits anxiously. He has not seen Elena for 3 days. Her last letter, hurriedly written, had said only, he knows. I am not safe, but I must see you once more. Each hour since then is stretched like a lifetime. The fire left nothing standing but sorrow. When the townspeople of Geneva arrived at dawn, they found only charred timbers and smoke rising from the ruins of Victor Frankenstein's estate. Among the ashes, they discovered him, burned and barely breathing, still holding Elena's lifeless body as though refusing to release her even to death. They took him to a nearby monastery where the monks tended his wounds. For days he drifted between fevered dreams and painful awakenings. In his delirium he whispered her name again and again, begging unseen hands to give her back. When he finally rose from his bed, his body trembled, but his mind had only one thought left. He would not lose her. The monks urged him to pray, to seek peace. But Victor had no faith left in heaven, only in the terrible science that had once defied it. If I could create life once, he muttered, I can do it again. But this time for love, not pride. Under the cover of night, he left the monastery, returning to the ruins of his estate. The storm had passed, but the air was heavy still. He descended into the hidden cellar beneath the burned house, where his old instruments, the remnants of his forbidden craft, still lay buried under soot and ash. Slowly, obsessively, he rebuilt them. Days turned into nights. He scavenged parts, repaired coils and wires, rewired the lightning conductors that once brought his first creation to life. His hands were blistered and shaking, but his heart burned with the same fever that had driven him years ago. And there, upon a marble table, he placed Elena's body, pale and still, preserved as best he could, Her beauty remained untouched by death, as if waiting for his touch to awaken. As the storm clouds gathered once more over the lake, Victor prepared for the final act of his cursed genius. "This time," he whispered to her, "you will live, and I will be forgiven." Lightning flared across the heavens. The machinery hummed, the coils began to glow, and the familiar scent of ozone filled the air. Victor's eyes gleamed with desperate hope. "Live," he pleaded. "Live and make this torment end." The lightning struck. Electricity surged through the wires, arching over her body. Her fingers twitched faintly, almost imperceptibly. Victor gasped, rushing forward. "Elena, it's me!" "Open your eyes!" For a single heartbeat it seemed to work. Her eyelids fluttered, her lips parted, and then her body convulsed violently. The light in her eyes was not life, but something else, a terrible mimicry of it. She sat up, her expression blank, her movements jerky, unnatural. Her voice came out as a whisper of air. "Victor." But there was no recognition, no soul. Only the empty echo of what she once was. Victor staggered back, horror dawning in his eyes. No, this isn't you," he said, trembling. "You are not her." Her body trembled, eyes rolling toward him with confusion, and then collapsed back onto the table, still and lifeless once more. The spark had come, but the soul had not followed. Victor fell to his knees beside her. "I have defied heaven again," he murmured. "And once again, I have made only death." The storm outside began to fade, the first light of dawn creeping through the broken roof. In that quiet moment, Victor laid his head upon Elena's cold hand and whispered, "Forgive me." His breath slowed, his strength ebbed. By sunrise, he was still. When the monks returned days later, they found two bodies, the man and the woman, lying together amid the wreckage of glass and steel, his arms wrapped around her as if in sleep. And somewhere far away, in the desolate mountains, the creature stood alone, watching the smoke rise in the distance. For the first time he wept, not for himself, but for the only man who had ever understood him. As the wind howled across the frozen peaks, his voice rose to the heavens. "Father, at last, we are both undone." He vanished into the snow, leaving behind nothing but legend, and the echo of a love that defied both life and death. Paces before the fire, glancing again and again toward the door, half expecting to see her, half fearing that she is already lost. And then near midnight the door bursts open. Elena stands there, drenched from the rain, her cloak torn, her breath ragged. "He followed me," she gasps. "Armand knows everything. He's coming for you." Victor rushes to her, pulling her inside. "You shouldn't have come," he cries, though his arms hold her tightly, desperately, as if to protect her from the world itself. "We must leave Geneva, tonight." But before she can answer, the sound of hooves echoes through the storm, fast, furious, drawing closer. Then the heavy slam of the gate. Victor looks out the window and sees Count Armand Rousseau, dismounting in the downpour, his face twisted with fury, a pistol gleaming in his hand. Behind him in the darkness of the trees, something else moves, vast, silent, watching. The creature has come. Elena grips Victor's hand. "Please," she whispers, "no more lies, no more running. Whatever happens, I am with you." The door crashes open. The Count storms in, water streaming from his coat, eyes burning with betrayal. "So it's true," he snarls. "My wife in the arms of a murderer and a madman." Victor steps forward. "Armand, you do not understand. Enough!" The Count shouts, raising his pistol. "You have taken my honor, my name, my wife. I will take your life." Elena throws herself between them. "Armand, please. You know nothing of this." But the thunder drowns her words. The pistol fires. The shot misses Victor, striking the oil lamp instead. Flames explode across the curtains, climbing the walls. In an instant, the room becomes a blazing inferno. Then, amid the chaos, a roar fills the air, inhuman, thunderous. The creature bursts through the shattered window, his massive form wreathed in firelight. The Count stumbles back in horror. "You wanted vengeance?" The creature growls. "Now behold it." He seizes the Count by the throat, lifting him effortlessly. Elena screams, rushing forward, but Victor pulls her back. "No!" he shouts. "You'll be killed!" The creature hurls the Count against the burning wall. "You sought to punish him," he snarls. "But only I have that right." Victor, choking on smoke, steps forward. Stop this. You promised no more blood. The creature turns, eyes glistening. You took her from me, he says quietly. Now feel what I have felt. In a desperate struggle, Victor grabs a fallen poker and strikes his creation, shouting, "She is not yours to destroy." The creature staggers back, but in that violent motion, the collapsing ceiling gives way. A burning beam crashes down, and Elena, trying to shield Victor, is struck. Time seems to stop. Victor drops to his knees beside her, cradling her in his arms. Her lips are pale, her breathing shallow. The fire roars around them, devouring the house. "Elena," he whispers, "stay with me. Please stay." She smiles faintly, her hand trembling as it touches his cheek. "I was never yours to save," she murmurs, "but I was yours to love." Her eyes close. Victor screams, a sound of anguish that echoes through the flames. The creature stands in silence, watching what he has done. For a moment, sorrow crosses his monstrous face. Then, with a cry that shakes the burning house, he smashes through the window and vanishes into the storm. By dawn, Victor's estate is nothing but ashes. Among the ruins, rescuers find him, burned, broken, and clutching Elena's lifeless body. The fire has ended, but the curse has only deepened.